Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 139. Yes, we're still climbing up that ladder, that imaginary ladder. A big thank you to each and every one of you from all over the world now that tunes in to watch these podcasts. I really appreciate you being with us. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button so you can be kept updated about podcasts and other things from the Hare Krishna Project. And or if you're watching this on Facebook, to like or follow, if you haven't already, the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. Those are the two ways you can watch this podcast. Some of you might watch it on both. You love it so much. As you know, I love to virtually travel around the world and interview a variety of guests, and I am all in favor of guests sharing their stories, sharing their projects, and sharing the different things in the global Krishna consciousness community, what they're involved with. Okay, I think today is also going to be another historic podcast. You'll find out in a moment based on where our guest is. Okay, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our guest this week. It's Nimai Nitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for having us.
Hare Krishna. It's great to have you with us. I'm pleased that we finally arranged this interview. We've been on each other's radars for some time. What a weird expression. Okay, so the first question is a nice, easy question. It's the question that every guest gets just to warm up the interviewee and also to warm up the interviewer. So please tell us a little bit about you and where you are from.
So I was born and raised in Montreal, Canada. So my mother tongue is French. And my parents met each other in ISKCON. So my father was initiated in ISKCON by Gopal Krishna Swami, and my mother by Kirtanananda Swami. I was born in 1988, like that. And grew up as a Krishna conscious child, going to the Sunday feast and so on. Normal, I guess, Western education, schools and all. High school ruined me, taught me all the vices of the Western world. And as I grew up more and more sinful, I got swept away from Krishna consciousness. And I came back again in 2014. I moved in China in 2008, actually. And my father, as I left, gave me a Bhagavad Gita sealed, and I unsealed it 6 years later in 2014. And this is when I got my connection with Srila Prabhupada, and I started to understand the philosophy. It was not simply the sentimental ideas that a child has when he goes to the temple. So in this way, my real spiritual life began. And yeah, from then onward, I started to read Prabhupada books. And then I learned about the Ritvik order. I slowly came in touch with ISKM. I met His Grace Gopal Prabhu and the other devotees. And here I am now trying to preach in China in whichever capacity that I can.
That was a great summary. You did that in like a minute and a half. I think you're a professional. I'm keen to know what took you to China in 2008. Well, how did you end up there?
Well, I was just having a tough teenage life in Canada. And my mother was really stressed and she could not handle me. At that time, I was no more in contact with my father. So she contacted my brother, my elder brother, who is my half brother. We have the same mother, not the same father. He was in China already doing some business. So she called him and said, why not we send your younger brother with you there? And she asked me, she said, why don't you go there? And I thought, yeah, why not? I had a bad group of friends, bad influence. So I thought, okay, let's just do this. And I came in 2008. I was quite young. I was turning 19 at the time. So that's what brought me here.
Wow. And just out of interest, I mean, what was it like growing up in ISKCON? Tell us a bit about some of your experiences.
Yeah, as a child, you think that everything is perfect. You think that all the adults are fully perfected. You think that there's no problem. You do not see much. I loved going to the Sunday feasts. I love seeing the deities, being in the kirtan. I didn't like to sit through class. I like to run around with the other kids. The temple was just an adventure every weekend. I love the prasadam. I loved Prabhupada, but I always had an uneasy feeling when other gurus would visit the temple. It was always my experience. I was there at the centennial in New York City of Srila Prabhupada, the 100th Vyasa Puja. I was there and I remember seeing many of the sannyasis there, and I always had a bad feeling about them from young, that I thought why they dressed like Prabhupada. That was my thinking at the time. And yeah, so as a child you don't understand much, and but I liked it, Krishna consciousness. I always wished to see the deities move. I always thought in the kirtan now Krishna is going to move. So the little child's imagination going there. So that was it. It's nice, of course, for children. Krishna consciousness it's all innocently perceived.
Mm. Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, you've mentioned the ISKM already in your introduction, and you've been an active member of the ISKM, the International Sri Krishna Mandir, for 10 years, must be now, since
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah,
Um,
more.
I interviewed Sundar Gopal Prabhu, the leader of ISKM, back in January, and it's one of our most viewed podcasts. I find him very easy to talk to, and I really appreciated him giving up his time to talk about his story, to talk about ISKM. Um, can you tell us a little bit about ISKM in terms of why are you involved? And yeah, why are you involved? What are its aims and objectives, and why are you a part of the organization?
Yes. So as I was studying my Krishna consciousness, as I said, I was studying Srila Prabhupada's books, and then I thought, okay, well, I have to take initiation. I have to become more serious about this, chant the 16 rounds. I was trying to follow four this principle at the time and all. So I was thinking, what should I do? And my father by that time had already um, uh, given up his previous guru in ISKCON and taken shelter solely of Srila Prabhupada. So he had told me already about the Ritvik system. So I decided to look into that, and I read the final order and the July 9th letter and the May 28th conversation. I started to do more research, and I came, through the poison issue and so many things like that. So then I thought, okay, all right, well, I don't really want to be in ISKCON because I'm seeing that there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of people that are self-motivated. And in the very beginning, I have to admit that I was easily swayed by sentimental display of devotion that was there in ISKCON. And that was due to my, of course, being juvenile and to some degree innocent. So then what I knew of was ISKCON Bangalore, which is quite famous in India as the Ritvik, the biggest Ritvik group. So I went back to Canada, and then I was thinking, all right, I'll just pack my bags and I'll go to ISKCON Bangalore. And then a devotee friend of mine, Ramananda Rai Prabhu in ISKCON, he's a Ritvik, also following the Ritvik system. He's in Canada. He's got a very lovely family with 5 beautiful children. So he told me there's a center in China that follows the Ritvik system, and that really struck me. I was like, what? I didn't even know there were centers at all in China, and nothing to say of the Ritvik system. And then he gives me the address, and it happened to be like an hour drive from where I used to live all these years. China is huge. An hour is nothing. So I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. So I came back and I got in touch with one of the Mataji here, Hamsika Mataji. It was 2014. And she said, we're in India at the moment, but you can come for Gora Purnima. So 2014 Gora Purnima, that's when I was introduced to all the devotees here. At that time, I still had not met His Grace Nagopal Prabhu, just the Chinese devotees here. So there was another Western Western body devotee, American devotee here, quite advanced in age, Radha Vallabha Prabhu, who actually left his body some 2-3 years back, I believe, maybe more. And so that's it. So I came in touch with him, and then with the Matajis here. And then I was seeing the sincerity of the devotees, and I liked it. And this is where I started to stay, basically. And then Labanga Mataji, who's the temple or the center, who's running the center here, she told me, you have to meet His Grace Nagopal Prabhu. That'd be nice They're coming soon. And so when Sunagopal Prabhu came with a couple of other devotees for a preaching trip, we went to central China in a province called Henan. So I met him there for the first time, and I met the other devotees. So I was skeptical because I did not want to be cheated. So I was really observing him, whatever he was doing, how he was speaking with other devotees, how he was giving class, how he was like that. So I wanted to find fault, basically. It's kind of weird to say, but I wanted to see if I could find some fault according to Srila Prabhupada books. And I could see that he was very sincere, very patient, very knowledgeable in Shastra. That's something that brought me a total new perspective, because all devotees that I had seen before would never really quote or show me verses. They would speak. And because of that, I never really amplified my faith in Srila Prabhupada, because speculation was very common. And somehow or other, I had taken it for granted that this is the way it is, that we just talk and I'm good, you're good, don't find my fault, I don't find your fault, everybody, that was kind of the mood that I had. But when His Grace Sunagopal started to speak, he put a definitive stopping point, that now your mind's got to stop talking now, because here's a verse. Now your mind's going to stop talking because this is what Prabhupada says, so you surrender or not. And that really hit the nail, because I didn't like it, and I thought that's good, because this is what I need. I cannot simply remain independent. And that's what guru means. You must surrender to an authority. So it's not why did I join ISKM? It's why I decided to follow His Grace Gopal Prabhu. We say ISKCON, ISKM, give Gita, bliss, whatever it is. It's about following the authority. Which authority are you going to surrender to? So Shastra says that we have to study where we surrender at least 1 year, the person whom we're going to surrender to. So as a link to Srila Prabhupada, I thought that Sunagopal Prabhu cannot be a wrong choice. And why? Because he puts Prabhupada in the front always. He will always be showing from his purport, from the verses and all. So I said, how can I be cheated in this case? It's not possible, because I have Prabhupada's books. So Prabhupada is the basic. He's a savior. His books are the basic. So after seeing this, then I understood that now it's up to me. Now I've found a proper place, a proper guru, His Grace Sunagopal Prabhu, a proper Shiksha guru. And all right, am I going to be, taking his guidance? Am I going to be surrendering to the process? And yes, the answer was yes. Of course, it was not something that I 100% done, without any envy in the heart, because as a neophyte devotee, we're all envious. We come from the karmi world, which is a world of envy. So in the beginning, I had all these mixed emotions that I had to deal with, but I had faith that if I just continue sincerely, I will get purified, and I'll be more and more qualified to call myself a disciple. And yeah, so that was the first interaction with His Grace when he came to China. And after that, I decided to go to Singapore. I wanted to see the standard there. And then when I went there, I was even more impressed, because I saw the other devotees that got trained by His Grace Nagopal Prabhu, and I saw that their standard and understanding of the philosophy and austerity and whatever was really on point. And I really liked it, how they slept not much. They slept on hard ground. They were very fired up in the kirtan. They were non-compromising in their preaching spirit. They were always enthusiastic. So while reading Prabhupada books, I saw that all these qualities are there when one is situated in pure devotional service, that he's not there for any puja or pratishta, worship or whatever it is. So I thought that this is a good place, and my faith just kept increasing in this way. So that's what brought me there. It's the arrangement of providence. It's Krishna's arrangement. Somehow or other, he saw that I had this desire for pure, uncontaminated devotional path, and he brought me into the association of such devotee. So Krishna brought me there. And why? Somehow or other, he's seeing some sincerity in me. And so how I've described is the how and why, but the ultimate reason is because of, I guess, my desire.
I think it's quite amazing. Well, in one sense, nothing's amazing with Krishna, because anything's possible with Krishna. But it's also quite amazing that the ISKM preaching center was 1 hour away from where you used to live. That's kind of Krishna's arrangement, isn't it? That you kind of knew the area already.
Yeah, it really spin my head.
Yeah. And out of interest, did you ever make it to Bangalore in India?
No, I've never. In fact, I had bought a gift for His Grace Madhu Pandit Prabhu while I was in Canada. I had this old manuscript of some Vaishnava literature that was 300 or 400 years old. I had bought for him, but when I met His Grace Sunagopal Prabhu, I knew that actually I had bought that for the person I wanted to surrender to. So I thought then actually the gift was meant for him. So I offered it to him.
Mm.
So I never physically met Madhu Pandit Prabhu, but some devotees from ISKCON Bangalore did come to China twice for looking for some material to purchase for their temple, and we have somehow helped them when they came. That's the only contact I had with them.
On its website, the ISKM says it's providing an alternative, a viable alternative to ISKCON. Why is that? Does an alternative to ISKCON need to be provided?
Well, first, this is, of course, we can have a huge, like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours conversation on this topic alone. I think we've done a lot of videos on this matter. I would encourage the viewer to go also on our ISKM TV channel. You can press on the playlist there, and you'll find like a playlist called the Ritvik system. There's so many videos that are there. You can also go on our personal channel, Nimai Nitai on YouTube. One of the little last videos that I've uploaded, not the live stream, but the video, is called Srila Prabhupada's Ritvik system as it is. You can watch that with a lot of information in it. But in a nutshell, yes, there has to be, simply because ISKCON is not ISKCON anymore. It's simply not what Srila Prabhupada wanted. Of course, the deity worship, what Prabhupada has given us, the morning program, and Prabhupada's books are still there. So therefore, devotees are still finding some attraction. And the attraction is there because Srila Prabhupada is still present there for those who want him. But ultimately, we will have to associate with devotees that are svajati, Srila Prabhupada says, of the same understanding, spiritual understanding. If we want to progress in spiritual life, we have to surround ourselves with advanced devotees. So it's not about ISKCON or ISKM. Prabhupada says ISKCON or FISKCON, right? Because if you, that letter, right? ISKCON or FISKCON, right? Yeah, so it's not about the name. When you label something like that, then you start to dogmatize things. And this is not the way that Shastra divides. Shastra divides according to the spiritual advancement of the devotee. There's Uttamadhikari, there's Madhyamadhikari, and there's Kanishtadhikari. And Shastra says that we should not remain on the Kanishta platform. We should raise ourselves to the Madhyam or Uttama platform. And we should not take guidance from neophyte devotees also. Because in Prabhupada books, it is said that the neophyte devotee cannot recognize who is advanced and who isn't. That is the whole problem. So when there are so many Kanishtas that give their opinion, what is the value of that when they do not see from the point of Shastra? So it's not about ISKCON or Ritvik or this or that. You have to find this, at least this Madhyama Bhagavata who can guide you. Because the Madhyama Bhagavata is the via medium between the Uttamadhikari and the Kanishtadhikari. And he's a transparent via medium, which means that whatever praise you offer to him, he gives to Srila Prabhupada. And whatever Srila Prabhupada speaks, he gives to you. He's a transparent. You can see through him. Not that he's blocking. Worship stops here. And what Prabhupada says, I block a little and I give you some of my stuff, Not like that. That will not work. So yes, there has to be, because simply there's been, why Prabhupada started ISKCON. Why didn't he not continue with Gaudiya Math? Why didn't she, because there was corruption, there was deviations, and Prabhupada emerged successful, self-effulgent, as a guru ought to be. Self-effulgent by the strength of his own preaching, he becomes guru, not by a voting system by conditioned soul. That has never been seen in the entire Parampara system. Narada Muni did not become elected guru, Vyasadeva, Madhvacharya. There's no such thing. Prabhupada books clearly said that an Uttamadhikari is the bona fide guru and he's self-effulgent. Is this being followed in ISKCON? Certainly not. So there has to be. Would I wish that I be preaching under the banner ISKCON? Yes, definitely. Because Prabhupada says, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It's there in all of his books. So I would love to, but I cannot. Legally, according to the constitution of ISKCON, I'm a pariah. because I accept the Ritvik system. It's there in their constitution. Any member of ISKCON who affiliates with some devotee who followed the Ritvik philosophy, so and so and so. It's one of their resolutions. So how can I work there? I cannot. So I'm not going to be part of this electing conditioned souls and worshiping them as Mahabhagavata. I don't buy it. There's not one single Mahabhagavata. And I'll make this statement even more shocking. There's not one single Madhyamadhikari in the entire Guru lineup there. I can back this up by Shastra, and I've proved it in our videos anyway. So those who are serious, they can watch.
With this interview, with this podcast, I'll put a link to the ISKM YouTube channel and your YouTube channel. I have to say, I've always been very impressed with the ISKM's social media presence. Particularly on YouTube, and I have seen that film, the Ritvik. When it talks about the Ritvik order, I've watched it a number of times, and I find it very useful in understanding ISKM's position. And I would say to anybody who wants to understand the Ritvik approach, that's a very good film, and I can attach that to this podcast.
We've got two. One is called Ritvik, a bona fide system, and His Grace Srila Gopal Prabhu is the speaker. And the one that came more recently is Srila Prabhupada's Ritvik system as it is, where I'm being the one presenting. So which one are you referring to? The one you've watched?
The first one, I think the first one that you mentioned. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the original one. That's the one that started more or less our online preaching of the Ritvik system, if we can.
Just out of interest, this wasn't one of the questions that I sent you in advance, but in terms of ISKM reaching out to Western people, you're obviously of Western heritage. You're French Canadian. How is it doing? How is it going in terms of reaching out to the Western community?
Well, we have got many devotees from Western countries that are actually reaching out to us. Some of them say, I'd like to have a center here. Is there any ISKM centers? Like in England, we've received, in Canada and America, in South America, even in Africa. There's many countries in Europe, Germany, France. So we get some people that are interested, but it's just at the moment we're limited. We got limited manpower, and we cannot just open centers everywhere that we receive emails from, although we would love to. So for the time being, somehow or other, we're here mainly in Asia, and this is where we're doing our groundwork, but we do plan to expand. We want to actually, and we urge any devotee who's willing to fight under the banner of Srila Prabhupada, under the banner of ISKM, to reestablish Prabhupada's movement as it is, to join us. And if they want a center in their community, then please take advantage of the association of ISKM devotees and try to open a center and try your best. We've got some devotees already trying in America. We've got some on the East Coast, West Coast, and down south. So they're all trying to do their bits. They have their programs going on and so on. So we've got a little presence there. In France, we've got some very enthusiastic devotees that are there doing mainly book distribution. There's no established center, but it will come, because once you're properly connected, it's simply a matter of time that things become manifest.
And I think you also mentioned England, the UK, in your description. Then you have some interest here, where I'm based.
Yeah, some devotees from the UK contacted us. We've got a lot of bhaktas that are situated there and are maybe attending our live lectures, but no one is dedicated enough to try to make a center there. That will probably come. There's no doubt.
One of the reasons I reached out to you a while ago to invite you to be on this podcast is because you're in China. So that's the historic thing for this podcast. You're the first person I've ever interviewed in China. I think I have joked on this podcast before. Not the only better place, the only place that would be a one more in terms of ticking the box would be North Korea. If I could find somebody in North Korea to interview, I would love that. But you're the first from China. Do you know any devotees in North Korea out of interest?
I don't. Are they? I don't even know if there are.
We
book of Prabhupada entered the country? I don't know. I have no
that's
idea.
It's a whole nother discussion. So you're the first in China, which is fantastic. So thank you for making history. And you've been an active preacher in China of someone who's sharing Bhakti Yoga for many years. Please tell us a little bit about that, and what are some of the challenges you faced there?
Well, I mean, it's a place where the leaders make religion illegal, you know. It's a place where the leaders will persecute you if you become too big under a religious you know, flag. So I'm sorry for the noise in the background. There's
It's okay.
that takes care of the old mother here, so she's not a, you know. So I have we faced a lot of things, a lot of persecutions. At one point, we were bold enough to do a Rath Yatra, and the police followed us, and then they took our passports and things like that. I mean, at another point, when I started a center with my wife in the Henan province, I opened on Janmashtami Day. We had like about 30 people. We had a big kirtan, and the police showed up. I had to run, remove my dhoti, swipe my tilak, and not let them come into the temple because they would have understood everything. They thought it was just a friend gathering. So Krishna saved us again. At one point, my wife was doing Gora Arti behind me, and right downstairs, they put this big screen for the kind of, you know, working class people to come and watch how religions are bad. And it was this huge documentary of how religions are bad. And I turn around, I see my wife doing Gora Arti, you know. At one point, we got caught. We were having this summer camp in another province with some kids. We were teaching them deity worship and all of that. Somehow the police found out, they got our contact, they got my information. Even though when I came back to our province, they called me, they say, we heard you're teaching religion to children and so on. We're at your door. Fortunately, we had just left to visit some farmhouses. And so I told them, look, I won't be at home for a couple of days. So they said, okay, you call us when we're back, when you're back. But Krishna protected us. As I came back, we were actually shifting house. So I packed everything and then I called them. I said, okay, I'm back. And they never came. So like that. I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, I've given some classes, live classes, and my lecture got blocked 20 minutes in the class, blocked by the computer. At one point, I uploaded so many classes that my wife was translating onto a platform. When somehow the owner of that platform found out, they deleted everything we had uploaded, and I was not intelligent enough at that time to keep a duplicate. Uh, what else? I mean, bro, this is only what's on the top of my head, you know?
I mean, in terms of you've told me, I think before we started recording, that you're now in the center there in the temple. How
Yeah,
public is that? Is that there
that
obviously isn't a sign outside saying Hare Krishna
that is
Temple?
not public at all. That's an apartment. You know, China has those big high-rise apartment buildings. This is everywhere in China. So we're in one of those. It's a complex, habitation complex, and that's it. We have our own thing. In the morning, we do Mangala. We have the full program going on, and it's the only center in the whole of China, the only place where you have the whole program go on. Mangalarti, then we get, you know, Narashimha, Tulasi, then Guru Puja, then Bhagavatam class, like that. And then we do some offering. We have steady offerings throughout the whole day. Evening time, we have Gora Arti. Then we have Bhagavad Gita class, or at least if only one devotee is here, they will read by themselves one verse of the Gita. That's the only place in the whole of China that this goes on. So it's in an apartment, and we don't advertise at all, except when we know some contact, we'll invite them for festivals and so on, and that's it, you know. So very low key. We cannot grow. You cannot make something big in China. It has to be based on sort of a namahat concept, that many small cells, you know. If you become too big, they will know about you, if they don't already know, which I'm pretty sure they do, because it's very easy for them to know. You know, we all use WeChat, which is kind of the Chinese WhatsApp, and it's all seen by the government. And every time you share a picture or whatever, the location is there. So I work with this mindset that they know about us. They know where we are. And we just have to keep it small. As long as we're small, they will not bother too much. You know, it's when you become big and public that they'll be on your case. I've personally seen a list of yoga centers from the police database where all these yoga centers had some affiliation somehow or other with the Hare Krishna movement. I've seen that list, you know, and some of the devotees that run these centers, I know them. So yeah, so now we're in Guangzhou City. the biggest city down south. And, we're trying to do our bits. And like we had a successful Janmashtami recently. Of course, we cannot fit many people here. As you can see, it's relatively a small temple room. We shifted a couple of times, though. When I joined, we were in a city down south called Zhongshan. There, the temple room was a bit bigger. We had like 3 apartments in total. Then we came to Guangzhou. We shifted a couple of times in different apartments here. So that's kind of the 3rd apartment we're here in Guangzhou. We're trying to keep it going somehow.
So I was about to ask, how do you promote what you're doing? I mean, I think the answer to that is no, but how do you, there must be a way to reach out to people.
Yeah, well, we do promote very subtly on the social media platforms, is WeChat here. So we send invitations personally to some persons. Some people hear about the center from others, word of mouth. Then they come. Then we try to preach to them. We get their contact, and in this way, it goes on. I mean, if it was allowed to preach fully, I mean, then it's very simple. You just take a storefront and you distribute flyers, you invite people, you do book distribution, you do Harinam in the streets, like the simple process, pure process that Prabhupada gave. But since it's illegal, we have to find means somehow or other to. We have Bhagavatam class every single day, almost every single day. I give Bhagavatam class every morning online for Chinese devotees. We have an average of about 10, 12 devotees daily attending the Bhagavatam class. We've been doing it now on a steady basis for about 4 months, I'd say. And it's all recorded also. So that helps because we've got devotees situated a bit everywhere in China who are keen to follow Prabhupada only. So like that, we try to give them knowledge. The most important thing is to train them with knowledge so that they understand the philosophy and not just stay on the sentimental platform.
You mentioned Jamashtami. You had a Jamashtami festival recently. How many people attended that event?
We were about 25, maybe something like that.
And so just out of interest, who were those people? Not that I need to know their names, but how did you find them? Did you know them already?
Well, yeah, most of them, and then they bring friends. That's how it works. So, well, of course, there are our devotees that are dedicated member. We are 5 that are full-time devotees. Then there is the congregation that comes on a regular basis. They stay in their house and they come. So you add another maybe like 8. And then you have further community, which are not serious. They're not really devotees. They're just well-wishers, Indian community and so on. So they came with friends and so on. So it boiled to 25 person. We could make it bigger, there's no doubt, but we don't want to attract too much attention, and we cannot fit more people here. So we don't endeavor too much to advertise. Like I sent maybe messages to 15 people. So I sent 15 invitations. And Labanga Mataji must have sent a couple also, and that was the turnout.
I'm pleased that you mentioned them. I was going to ask about the Indian community in China. How do I say this where I'm being politically correct? Obviously, you can see that someone is Indian or possibly Indian by their appearance. Are Indian people, therefore, in the city that you live in, are they like an easy target that they might be from India or a close country nearby, and therefore I can possibly talk about Krishna with them?
I try to focus more on the locals. That's what Srila Prabhupada wanted. He often mentioned that Indians that go abroad are going there attracted by money, and I can see that this is the vibe. So, of course, a strong preacher would be able to convert the Hindus into Vaishnavas. And, and I'm not saying it's impossible. It's doable. So therefore, when they come, I do preach to them. I'm not simply there to get their donations, They give donations, but I'm not interested in that. If my preaching will stop their donations, then so be it, So, but I preached to them, like when they came on Janmashtami, I gave strong lectures about why demigod worship should not be encouraged and why we shouldn't encourage any so-called swamis and yogis that come along. So they were all sitting here and I was preaching, and the Indians are pious by nature. So when you quote Shastra and all, they're silent and they listen mostly, you know, so they're not going to be arguing much. So like that, we're trying to give them some knowledge, and you can see that there's some change of heart. Like after that, one of those Indian bhaktas, he said, okay, I want to order a couple of Bhagavad Gitas for my friends. I want, you know, science of self-realization and so on. So we should not, of course, my targeting is more the Chinese people, but if the Indians come also, I will still preach. But I don't put much hope in them for pushing the movement here, you know. Although it's their responsibility. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, especially to the Indians, they should become the preachers, you know, and give this. But I mean, I'm not going to wait for one of them to. Anyways, as I say, you know, I'm not going to be focusing on them. Although they're a good means to find channels, maybe like to organize a program in their community, or maybe they have some contacts, you know, donations. So they're useful in this way as congregational member. They render some service like that.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the things I've been very impressed with, I follow you on Facebook, I follow you online, is that you seem to be running regular kind of online schools. And I do sometimes tune in and I have a listen and see what's going on with the children.
Yeah.
And I think it's an online Gurukul, isn't it, for children?
Well, of course, I sometimes I label it like that, but that's just as to have a catchy word, you know. It's not a Gurukul, because Brahmachari Gurukule. Gurukul means living at the Guru's ashram, right? So it's sort of a catchy word, but it's online, daily, Monday to Friday, Krishna conscious class for children. Yeah.
And is it something that you're running full
Yeah, I've made
time?
it
Is
a
it? Is it something that you're doing as a full time
well,
saver, or?
the thing is, I was doing that with my son. Actually, I was giving classes to my son prior to live streaming them. I was just giving to him without filming it, and slowly it developed. And then I thought, why don't I record these classes? They're nice. And I started like that with my son only, and I would just live stream them, me and my son alone. And at one point, one devotee reached out to me and say, "Oh, I'd like my boy also to." Actually, last year we traveled in many different countries. So we went to Australia. We've got some very nice friends there. Chaitanya Lila Prabhu and Karunamai Mataji, they've got three wonderful boys. So I started to make those sessions with the three boys, including my son. And I was live streaming that. And as we left, Mataji asked me, "Oh, it'd be nice if we can continue that online." So I said, "Okay, why not?" And it grew up to this. And then later on, when I went to Singapore, the devotees asked us, "Can my children join?" So it just came like that. It's not something that I really planned. So I thought, okay, why not make it steady, Monday to Friday like that? You know, I'll make it something steady that children can join. And also the parents are very nice. You know, they give little donation for my time. And, you know, as a Brahmana, you know, trying to teach their children like that, little dakshin to keep the principle of, you know, how education used to be in Vedic times. So like that is something on the side, you know. It's nice for the children. They're very happy. They like it. We chant japa together. And I thought, if I do it with my son already, why not with other children? So that's a sideline thing, you can say.
And do you have any plans for it to grow and become bigger?
Well, we'll see. The thing is, online, you cannot make it too big, because I don't like if you start to have 50 children there, how to manage this, you know. Children are already not so easily managed physically, what to speak of an online presence, when the microphone sometimes doesn't work, when they, you know, can get. So right now I've got maybe about 8, 9 something children there. And I find that this is okay. That's enough. I don't think I will want to have more children live. But as far as, I mean, advertising it so that other children can tune in and watch the replays, yeah, that no problem.
I was going off at a bit of a tangent now. I was talking with a family in England a couple of weeks ago, and they're not Hare Krishna devotees, but they wanted to tell me that they've just sent their 13-year-old daughters left the state system, left school, the public school, and she's now going to an online private school. Because they like that. So I was very rude, and I asked what was the cost, because before it was free, they were going to a free school, and they're now paying £7,000 a year. for her to go to this online school, which is probably about
And to learn more.
yeah, 8,000 US dollars or something. So there is a market in online education.
Well, yeah, I guess this is how a bit it started for me because I'm not sending my boy to school, you know, I'm homeschooling him. In fact, I've just spent I'm trying to get him separated from his mother more and more so that he be more with me, just like it used to be in Vedic times. And we've done an experiment in the past few months. And just now I brought him back. Here's Guangzhou City, but where we live, me, my wife, and the two children, I have one boy and one baby girl. We live outside the city. We've rented this farmhouse. It's in a small town, small village actually. And so I was alone there with my son just a couple of days back for about 9 days with him alone. And so I was training him, you know, he was alone with me, I wake up at 3 a.m., then I wake him up at 4:20, then we do Mangal Arti together. Then I serve my DT, he's got his DTs, he serves his DTs. Then after that, he helps me to you know, wash the whole house and all. He helps me cut the vegetables, he helps me cook. So I could feel that this is how education should be, you know, the small boy should be with the guru like that, and he should learn and Shastra. And so like that, we chant around together. Then I play a little bit with him, of course. Then he has online classes. So of course, for his writing, I mean, reading and writing is very important. So he's got these online classes for now about 1.5 years. This nice lady from South Africa teaches him. And he's 6 years old only, and he reads like a 9-year-old, at least 8, 9-year-old. And he writes well. And also, I'm not worried on this side. He's got also some Chinese class. So he's got English and Chinese class like that. So while he's on his class online, then I have some free time to do other things. And evening time, we do Gorati together. Then he puts his DTs to rest. I put our DTs to rest like that. And we study verses together. When we go to bed, you know, I study verses on my phone and I study with him. Then I read him a Krishna Conscious class. So I can really, actually, why we moved to the farmhouse was for that. We wanted to sort of start a kind of Gurukul in China, but somehow the children that I thought would join did not. But still, I'm keeping the idea of at least learning how to do it. And with my son now, I've got a very good idea on how we could bring that about. So I don't know if it's going to happen in the future, but at least I can train my son according to this, you know. And I can see the difference as how he is with his mother and sister and how he is only with me. And it's true, it's very scientific that when you separate a boy from the mother around the age of 5, 6, it really acts upon his growing faster, you know, being more mature, more self-controlled and all.
What I'll do with this podcast, I'll put a link to your Facebook page, so people can see, if that's okay, the kind of
Yeah,
online
of course.
schooling.
I mean, I'm live on the YouTube also. I don't always
YouTube.
live stream on Facebook, actually. I always live stream on YouTube, but some episodes sometime on Facebook. You can link to YouTube and the live tab. You know, if they want to tune in, they can just press subscribe and the bell, right? So they'll receive notification every day, Monday to Friday, 4:15 p.m. Singapore time or China time. That's when we're live for
Okay,
about 45 minutes.
I'll put a link to that. Fantastic. We're actually almost towards the end. I've only got one other question on the list. I really admire how kind of you answer questions very succinctly and you just kind of get on with it. Some people will give a long answer, but I love your answers. They're very just to the point, and you answer the question very directly, which is a compliment.
Thank you.
Um, it, what are your current? So the final question, but we can talk about other stuff as well. What are your thoughts on the current condition of the global Hare Krishna movement? When you look at the world in terms of the Hare Krishna community, what are your thoughts on it?
I think we need to boil down the milk. I think we need to educate the devotees that we have. And unfortunately, most of the people that are in a position of leadership do not have this desire. They are after something else. And it's not going to work out because you see, Kapila Dev mentions in the third canto of the Bhagavatam that there's many types of contaminated devotional service. There's in the mode of ignorance, there's in the mode of passion, and in the mode of goodness. And even that is contaminated. So to chant Hare Krishna is not all in all. Chant Hare Krishna, we must come to the offenseless platform. And from that offenseless platform, we can then gradually rise to love of God. But if we keep ourselves in offenses, We are not going to go back to Krishna. That is all. This is ultimately, what is it that we want? We should ask ourselves that. What do I want from this Hare Krishna movement? What is it? Do I want Krishna? Do I believe in that? Do I actually believe that there's a spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is there and I want to go back there? Or I'm satisfied with heaven? If you're satisfied with heaven, then yeah, offensive chanting will do. You'll go to heaven. But you have to come back. So this is not, you see, this is those who are overcome by material desire. They'll be attracted by this heavenly pleasure, or Brahma Jyoti, impersonal liberation. So it's about this. It's about what is the quality of your bhakti. So I'm not impressed in seeing numbers. I'm not impressed in seeing big kirtans, Radha Desh, Melo, and this and that. This has no meaning. It's about the purity of your chant. What is your desire? Do you want to be pleasing the pure devotee? Do you want to be pleasing Srila Prabhupada? Or you're trying to use Krishna in your service? You're trying to make this movement your servant. You want to be seen as a great devotee. You know, there's so many. This is all very nicely explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when there's the description of the Bhakti Lata Bij, you know, the Bhakti Lata creeper, and then there's the weeds, right? The unwanted creepers that grow with it. And when we chant with offenses, Srila Prabhupada clearly explained that the watering process of Shravanam Kirtanam is misused. So when you chant with offense, the water of your chanting and hearing is being poured on those unwanted creeper. And those unwanted creeper are the weeds of puja, labha, pratishta. You know, you want money, you want fame, you want followers, you want Sanskritification, you name it. These things are going to become bigger and bigger, and they'll become tree trunks. And they'll be so big that you won't be able to distinguish between the real bhakti and the unwanted creeper. This Prabhupada explains. And therefore, the whole confusion is there. Everybody thinks they're doing devotional service. Nobody will come and say, no, I'm not doing devotional service. I'm wrong, dead wrong. No, otherwise, you know, everybody thinks he's right. And why is this that there's a variety of convictions? It's because of that. Some are situated in offensive chanting. And because of that, they cannot recognize what is bhakti and what is their material, you know, unwanted creeper. It's as simple as this. And when you've got all these neophyte devotees acting like Madhyama Dekari, like preachers, and they'll open YouTube channel and they'll give open classes and so on, you're not going to benefit because you're not going to be able to distinguish pure bhakti from contaminated bhakti. That's the whole thing. The acharyas have come to give us pure devotional service, freed from karma and jnana. Anabhilashita sunyam jnana karma anavritam. So we have to be freed from. So what does that mean? What is this karma? What is this jnana? How can I perceive it in my own life? What is the cause of it? What is the effect of it? You know, so these things we have to study. And unless you are properly guided by a devotee who can explain properly through Prabhupada's books, you're not going to be able to make proper, genuine spiritual advancement. So yes, there is a great need of reforming our movement because it's going astray. What you're seeing now is a stopping fan. It seems to be rotating, but it's been unplugged. So whatever is going on, it's going to degrade more and more. And we're seeing it. ISKCON is about to split in half. GBC India and Western GBC, you know. Even Bhakti Vikas Swami, he said it, better cut it now. It's going to split anyway. Better split it. So it's breaking apart. And most of these big gurus, they've got their own organizations already. Radhanath Swami, he's got his own organization going on. Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he had his own organization. Bhakti Vikas Swami, he has his own organization. So don't talk to me about unity in ISKCON. You know, I've heard a disciple of Bhakti Vikas Swami who was so-called preaching here in China. He told me that Bhakti Vikas Swami told him, look at this disciple, he's more advanced than his guru. So all this backstabbing is happening there. There's bad mouthing about one another, you know. They put the face of unity only when they speak against the Ritvik. You see, we are united. Ritviks are fighting and this and that. There's no unity at all there. Everybody is running for their own self-aggrandizing scheme.
If I'm honest, looking at it from a kind of sociological point of view, I'm surprised that we've got to 2024 and that big split hasn't happened yet. Not necessarily East and West, but just you know, the Radhanath Swami camp and the Krishna West camp or the Jayapataka Swami camp. I'm surprised it hasn't actually happened yet. And I believe it will happen very soon.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's already there in the mind of all. everybody fighting for the new devotees, come to my guru, come initiation from my guru, give donation this way, not that way. It's already there. It's all over the place. But legally, as far as legal documents being concerned, being signed and all, it will follow. There's no doubt about that. Prabhupada says, right, this nationalism is something, a new invention, new flags, right? United Nation, but new flags, new flags. So when you remove the God from the center, this is what happens. So when you remove the pure devotee from the centers, it will happen. And that's why there'll be more and more and more and more factions and more names and more confusion.
Okay, Prabhu. What I'm going to do with this interview, I'm going to link various ISKM channels with this podcast so people can find out more about ISKM, including your own YouTube presence. Because I'm very happy to do that. Believe it or not, we've been chatting for about an hour. Is there anything else particularly you want to share with us?
Yes. I mean, we've just barely touched the surface, of things. But like I say, please, those who are watching, why I came on this podcast is to simply give some exposure to ourselves, to His Grace Srila Prabhu and this ISKM. If you're sincere, at least come and test us. You see, here are lectures. We've got many devotees who are giving online lectures. His Grace Srila Prabhu every Friday is giving this Q&A session that's there. Tadvavid Prabhu many times a week is going live. And we've got so many recorded lectures. And you can see also on our personal YouTube channel, we've got vlogs, we've got videos that we've made. So test us. See if you think we're genuine. If you don't think so, then what can I say? But if you think so, then come forward, try to help, see? Because this is very important. I'd like to read this.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So this is from Sri Nityananda Das Prema Vilas. Of course, it's another Shastra. It's not from Prabhupada's books, but everything that I'm reading here, it's in Prabhupada's books. But here it's in the form of verses. And I found that recently, sometimes because I make these videos, I look into other scriptures. But personally, I read only Prabhupada books. But for making videos, sometimes I get support from different Shastras. So that's how I found that. So I'd like to read this. So this is Sri Nityananda Das Prema Vilas, chapter 11. So there's a couple of verses that I'd like to read here.
Please do.
Yeah. So starting from... Okay, we'll start from verse 96. So due to the sinful entanglements of many lifetimes, the forgetful living entity does not recognize his real self. He thinks, in this human form, I will desire everything. If my desires are not fulfilled in this life, I will get other bodies to do so later. This entanglement is cured by Krishna in the form of a devotee. He assumes the form of Guru and gives Krishna's names. These topics about Guru and disciple are there in Shastra, and one who understands them will adopt the process. One who does not understand the teachings of Shastra in this way will not get Krishna's mercy. So now we're discussing about this understanding of how to surrender to the pure devotee and how to please him. Krishna distributes this through truth through the words of Shastra. And by studying those Shastric teachings, one can understand who is a genuine Guru. So that's important. We must first of all start reading Prabhupada books before surrendering anywhere. So Prabhupada has revived this parampara system, this pure knowledge through his books. Anyone can just get a book. You don't have to be in ISKCON or ISKM. Or you get Prabhupada books and sincerely study. And there Prabhupada will speak to you. And he'll tell you what's a genuine devotee and what's a bogus devotee. Now with this knowledge equipped, you have to go and seek, right? We continue. For 1 year, disciples should faithfully imbibe the philosophical conclusions propounded by the Guru and understand their significance. The disciple should carefully observe the Guru's activities and serve him in suitable ways. So before, this is Guru Maharaj, I saw him for the first time, tears were in my eyes, I knew he was no, not like that. There's a way. Shastra says you study the books, then with this knowledge, you go and you figure and you look, you observe. Is this a Mahabhagavata? Is it in line with what Prabhupada is saying? And so on. Is he a Madhyamadikari and so on? Then the Guru will understand the nature and behavior of the disciple and thus discern the disciple's qualifications and disqualifications. So it's a mutual examination that's going on. To acquire the holy name, a disciple should always remain close to the Guru and constantly seek out the association of Vaishnavas. Now, who is Guru and who is Vaishnava? How are we going to know? This is from Prabhupada's books. And we've put so many lectures and on this topic also. You can go in our videos. Understanding this process, a disciple must develop firm attachment to executing it faithfully. Otherwise, he will never vanquish his sinful mentality. He should savor the Hare Krishna mantra day and night, eagerly waiting for the time when his master will bestow mercy on him. The spiritual master shows mercy on the disciple when he sees that the disciple is extremely anxious for it. Very few people understand this. So it's not that everybody is qualified to get pure devotional service and actually the taste for the holy name. It's not like that. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siteye, right? Bahumanam jamanamante. So all these verses are there. It's very rare. So a disciple who's very sincere is rare. And a guru who's really a Mahabhagavata, a pure devotee, is also very rare. So pure devotional service is a gem. It's not something that you'll find everywhere, that you just go on YouTube and big kirtan and everybody's there as a pure devotee. It's not like that. So it's on our eagerness, you see. A disciple is extremely anxious for it. If you become very anxious to get Krishna, I want to advance in my devotional life. I want to be freed from these sinful activities. And I want to be freed from this mental speculation, from this crazy mind talking to me every day. I want to be realizing Krishna really, that he's there in my heart. And I want to meet steady progress, genuine progress. This kind of mentality should come. As per his determination of the heart of the disciple, the guru instructs accordingly. If the disciple is not qualified, then mercy will not manifest. So, as I said, it's not about Ritvik, non-Ritvik, and all. It's about the quality of the disciple's heart. What does he want? Then, O Narottama, please listen to this ancient wisdom. It is for this reason that Krishna's mercy does not arise. A Goswami is not permitted to make many disciples. Hear this important truth carefully. So anyway, so like that. So you see, it's not, we cannot try to make pure devotional service something widespread, like a wholesale thing. It's not going to work. So when devotees think, what's the solution for the great movement? How can we? It's not like that. There's no solution because it's something very rare. So our duty is to speak out Prabhupada's instructions, show this is how Prabhupada wanted initiation in the future. And we've got an organization where you can have this. Are you interested or not? You're not interested. You think that we are Vaishnava Parada or whatever. That's all right. Have a nice day. Go your way, I go my way. So in this way, by not compromising in ISKM, by showing Prabhupada's instructions as it is, speaking from Shastra, we do a great service because we present as it is. So we attract those who are sincere, and we shun away, or we scare away those who are insincere. So that is very nice because we don't want such people, you see. So we don't speak to please anyone. We don't speak to, get wealth or whatever. What do I do in China? This is a lower planetary system. I cannot even go out with this tilak and all. It's a horrible place. I don't like this place. But I remain for what? Because somehow or other I'm instructed to preach here. I accept Sunagopal Prabhu as a representative of Prabhupada. He would like me to try to preach here. So I try to do that. And what do I gain here? Nothing, materially speaking. So we need to understand that it's something very rare. Not that there's a list. What is the list now in ISKCON? Initiating Guru, like some 90 names is there. That's not according to Shastra. This is Katha Upanishad 127. Many cannot hear about the soul. And even after hearing about it, many cannot understand it. Because it is hard to find a guru who is a genuine seer of the truth. Such a qualified guru is a great soul and is very rare. Only those who follow his teachings can realize the truth and become expert in the science of God. Such disciples are also very rare. So it's not something that we can make wholesale, Prabhu. And another couple of verses that I was thinking of reading.
Oh, yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here, this is from Narada Pancharatra 110:19. Gyani gurus cha balavan, bhavad dehe shishya uddharit, gurus vayam asiddhascha durbalaha katham uddharit. A guru who is knowledgeable and strong delivers a disciple from the ocean of material existence. How can a guru who is not realized and weak deliver a disciple? So you see, there's a guru who is in the transcendental platform. He can give you Krishna. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paru. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays to the pure devotee, Krishna is yours, you can give him to me. So it's not that I'm going to catch Krishna by myself by disobeying Srila Prabhupada, So this is the whole idea here. So in this verse, I think it's 11:321, right? That is, yeah. So, okay, this verse, right? Tasmat gurum prapadyeta jignasu shraya uttamam. This verse Prabhupada often quotes, that one should surrender to. So tasmat gurum prapadyeta, one should surrender to a bona fide guru. Jignasu shreya uttamam. You should be inquisitive as to know the uttamam shreya, the ultimate welfare. What is the ultimate? Not I go to guru for fame. Like sometimes I hear their argument, no, my family lineage always had a physical guru, and therefore I need a guru. They like in India, especially having a white guru, it's something prestigious. Then shabde pare chanishtatam brahmanyupa shamashrayam. So he will speak on the strength of Shastra, and he will be able to remove all of your doubts. That's important. So who's that guru in ISKCON that speaks solely on Shastra and capable of removing the doubts? It's not. What is it? It's going to be like Hari Bol, Go Premanande, like that. Everybody's a pure devotee all of a sudden. So here on this verse, there is a purport by the acharyas that was given. So according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, if a spiritual master cannot destroy his disciples' doubts by superior knowledge, the disciple will gradually become despondent in spiritual life, because a bogus guru cannot actually give Krishna to the disciple according to the principle of Rasa Vajjam Rasopyasya. This is the verse in Bhagavad Gita 259, that you can give up material enjoyment if you have higher enjoyment. The disciple will again become attracted to material happiness, not having achieved the bliss of Krishna's association. Such a weak disciple of a weak spiritual master will gradually become hopeless and discouraged in his attempt at self-realization, and will again become fascinated by the temptations of illusion, such as women, money, and so-called intellectuality based on speculation and imagination. So unless you find a guru that is strong, and that is, of course, the Uttamadhikari, but the Madhyamadhikari also. Someone who is Madhyamadhikari, he is beyond karma and jnana. He has reached the stage of pure devotional service, although he is not 100% beyond the three modes. At least his path is pure, and such is a bona fide guru. Madhyamadhikari is the preacher. Actually, the guru platform, acting as guru is Madhyamadhikari. Because Uttamadhikari, if he remains on his platform, he does not distinguish. He thinks everybody is guru except me. So therefore he comes to the Madhyamadhikari platform to preach. So like that. Now, this is from Purana Vakya. So Chandra Jnana Gama Kriyapa, text 54. Many gurus take advantage of their disciples and plunder them. Many gurus, it says. They exploit their disciples for sex and use them to amass wealth. But a guru who can remove the miseries of his disciples is very rare. Again, very rare. Not that you have a list and you can choose from. And then a similar verse is there in the Skanda Purana. Guravo Bahava Santi Vitta Pahakaraka Tam tu Gurum Napashyami Shishya Santa Paharaka. There are many gurus. They are very expert in plundering disciples' money. But it is very difficult to find out a guru who can take out all the anxieties of the disciple. So, Prabhu, I mean, this is Shastra, it's there. That means it shows that pure devotional service is extremely rare. A genuine disciple is extremely, extremely rare. A genuine guru is extremely rare. And Prabhupada in 2919 purport, he writes, there are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men more forgetful of the Lord and thus entangle them more and more in material existence. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper into the darkest region of matter so that such envious demons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada here is saying envious demons of people in the Brahma Sampradaya. Just see. I think, my point here is that we have to find a group, we have to find a guru, a leader who will lead us properly. And we have to find such association where the devotees are not speculating, And that's what that's the message I wanted to convey. We cannot delve too much in it, but that's the gist of it.
And what I can do, thank you for sharing that, by the way. I love hearing, of course, I love hearing from Sastra. And it was great that you were able to share that with us. What I can also do with this podcast is share the previous podcast with Sundar Gopal Prabhu so people can hear from him directly, because he is very inspiring. But yeah, and I really appreciate what you've shared about ISKM as well. I can definitely see that ISKM is an organization that's dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. And if people want to find out more about Srila Prabhupada, they should definitely look at the ISKM's YouTube channel and Facebook pages and get in touch with with devotees. I mean,
do your research. That's the whole thing. Do your research. Now we've shown these verses that you have to study Prabhupada books, and you got to study first. Whom are you surrendering to? You know? But if you're not sincere, you will be led into an unsincere association. That is just the way that the Lord works. So we're trying to convince people to be sincere, that don't come to Krishna consciousness for some mundane thing. If you want to make money, please go and make money in the karmi world. Nobody's gonna stop you. If you want to be famous, then try being famous some other way. Why you have to exploit this movement for your own whims?
Wonderful, thank you. And maybe one day when there's an ISKM center here in the UK, I can go and visit.
Yes.
There's certainly, obviously, the difference between China and the UK is that you have the freedom to set up anything you want in Britain, as long as it's not against the law. And other groups that would share a similar, I have to think what I say now. Other groups similar to ISKM are now active in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Bliss organization. They've got so Purujit Prabhu as their head. So if you think that they are genuine, you can go and but the same principle applies. You have to go and you have to judge. You have to hear. If you see that that person is genuine, then you follow. But it should be in accordance with Prabhupada's instructions. Everything should be in line. Is that devotee advanced spiritually, or is he putting on a show? Of course, I'm not saying that he is, but this is the same thing with us. ISKM, please come. Please test us. Don't join us through sentiment also. We don't want that. Don't join us just because that, ISKM, maybe he's got some international presence. That's good. I'll go there. Not like that. Please don't be sentimentally attracted. We want people to understand. We want people to have a genuine realization of what it means to be surrendered to Prabhupada.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Nimai Nitai Prabhu. And that was a very inspiring set of verses from Sastra, actually. And I love your enthusiasm. I can certainly feel your enthusiasm kind of through the internet as you read those verses.
Yes, well, this is preaching. Preaching means we'll feel enthusiastic, If we are after something else, then we'll dwindle. Prabhupada says a dead man cannot preach. So that's my only thing I want to do. I want to preach. I don't like this life of easygoing, and of course I don't want to be criticizing any devotee who does that. We're all, but me personally, I don't see this movement as anything else than a preaching movement meant for defeating all the positions and establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God. You see, a big problem is that, we're not against Guru, right? All the sannyasis in ISKCON could maintain a position of Guru, but according to their level, not artificially. That's what we're against. Why all the mantras that are meant for Mahabhagavatas are being offered to them? Why this Namam Vishnu Padaya prayer is being changed, right? They remove the name of Prabhupada and they put the name of their Guru. This is not something that you're going to be artificially gaining, It's not like that. You have to make your proof in battle. You have to go out there, just like the cross and all, the cross of when you fight in the war, then you get the Medal of Honor, then you get all these things, So that you have to prove. Now this prayer, Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Paschachya Deshatarine, you are removing impersonalism and nihilism from the Western world. This is what this prayer means. Who is doing that? Who is doing this now in the Western world? Everybody's seeing it. how Western temples are filled with mainly Hindus. There's no life like it was in Srila Prabhupada. Everybody can feel that. Anybody can see those old footage of how it was in Prabhupada time and how it is now. And you can see there's no potency. So who is qualified to be prayed to with this prayer? None of them. And this Om Namo Namam Vishnu Padaya, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Shtotara Shat. Right? This prayer is meant for someone who is within the intimate circle of Lord Sri Krishna. This is the meaning of that prayer, And they read this to these persons. So why artificially should be there? And Shiksha Guru is also a bona fide guru. Why always the stress on Diksha Guru, Diksha Guru? The verse, the famous verse of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you become perfect and you preach, you become Guru, Amara Guru, Agana Guru Aya, Tarae Desh, that's also applicable to Shiksha Guru. Like His Grace Sunagopal Prabhu, we are giving him respect. We are giving him some amount of worship and so on, according to his spiritual advancement. But we're not going to artificially offer prayers that are not meant for him and so on. But naturally, people, when they see a leader, when they see a Vaishnava who's sincere and advanced, they will naturally want to offer some sort of worship, some sort of respect. That will come. So that is self-effulgent, you see, not that artificially. GBC say, is he a guru now? Yes. Okay. Stamp in. Now you're a disciple, you can say Namam Vishnu Padaya. Yesterday you could not pray to him Namam Vishnu Padaya. Today you can. What is this, Prabhu? This is artificial. So we're not for that. But naturally, a devotee who preaches and represents Prabhupada and is successful in his preaching and goes out there and defeats all the opposition that's all there, all these craziness going on in the world, this woke stuff going on, and there's so much crazy stuff, right? We should address these issues and smash it. That is a real preacher. We should be there on the not just that every time I meet a world leader, I smile and I offer Bhagavad Gita, and he's not gonna read your Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't care. Prabhupada was not like that. When Prabhupada was officially received by the city of Paris, official receival, he went there and he sat down. And then they were in their very opulent building. Prabhupada, they're waiting for you to stand up. Prabhupada said, stand up for who? He stayed sat down. He's the only person who was officially received in the whole history of France that sat down. Because why should he stand up for who? And then he stood up. Any person who doesn't teach his citizens about love of God, who doesn't teach them according to da-da-da-da-da, and he was just smacking them in their face. Not that here is my book, go back and use it as your paper holder, No, he smashed them. He preached to them. He was not impressed with their so-called status. But now we see these so-called gurus are being invited. There was this big wedding recently, right? A very rich man, like fat Indian man. I don't know. It was all over the news. Then Radhanath Swami was there. And who else? This brahmachari, famous brahmachari.
Is it Garanga Das?
Gorgopal, is it?
Yeah.
Gorgopal.
Yeah.
Both of them. And then licking the boots, please give me donation. We all know you're the richest man in India. Please give me some big thing. So this boot licking thing is never what Prabhupada taught us. I'm sorry. I don't care who's the name that I mentioned. I don't care. Any devotee that goes there and is a bootlicker, I will expose. Because this is not Prabhupada's moon. Prabhupada's moon is we have to preach to these people, not to become their servant,
Wonderful. So, I completely agree with you. Believe it or not, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, we've been chatting for about an hour and a half. We've been recording this podcast for about an hour and a half. And it's been great to hear your story. It's been great to hear about ISKM again. You're the second guest from ISKM. And I'm more than happy if any other ISKM members are listening who are preaching in different parts of the world. I'd be more than happy to have you as a guest on the podcast because I'm keen to share devotees' stories. I'm going to put a lot of links to ISKM YouTube channels, Facebook pages to this podcast. And if you want to get in touch with ISKM, I'm sure you can do that through their website. And I will also put a link to Nimai Nitai Prabhu's YouTube channel, so you can contact him as well. And if you just happen to be a devotee living in China and you're listening to this, please do get in touch with Nimai Nitai Prabhu, because
please come and help. I can say like this. I can say that, let's say you want to be maintaining your family. You're a grihasta who wants to a good job, and you're especially from a Western country. I can get you a very good job in China. It's very easy. English teaching jobs here are very easy. You don't even need qualification, and you can get very good money. You can get, and you can come being a congregation member and help us push the movement in your free time. I can do this arrangement for you, but you would have to be, taking guidance from ISKM and studying us and seeing if you find us genuine and so on. But that's because that's how I came to China. I came in 2008. I was an English teacher, and I used to make big money, just teaching English. So I can make this arrangement for any devotee who would like to support his family easily, easy done. And yeah, you can help us push the movement here. So it's an invitation.
Well, I think this is a first on the Hare Krishna Project podcast, as well as spiritual knowledge and information. People are being given a job offer as well, offered a job,
Well,
move to China for work.
Yeah, I mean, if you cannot get them with the preaching thing, at least bring them from right. No, because any grihastha needs to maintain the family, right? This is we need money in this world, so why not do one thing, two things in once, right?
Absolutely. Okay, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, I'm going to say goodbye to the viewers at home. And then you and I can have a brief debrief after, because I'm conscious it's getting late in China. There is a little bit of a time difference.
Not late, but half an hour later, Gaurarti will be going on here. But prior to that,
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you all to
Okay.
all the viewers. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So a big thank you to Nimai Nitai Prabhu for being our 139th guest on the Hare Krishna Project podcast. I appreciate his time. I appreciate his enthusiasm. I can definitely tell that he's a preacher by how enthusiastic he is. And I love that I thought we were at the end of the podcast, and he just wants to talk about Prabhupada and scripture, which is wonderful. So we spent about half an hour devoted to that as well, which is fantastic. Do not forget, if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and or if you're watching this on Facebook, to like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. Also, as you know, I love to receive constructive feedback. You are allowed to have your own opinion, your own view. You are allowed to disagree with me. You are allowed to disagree with the guest. Please, I want to receive your constructive feedback. And do not forget, if you want to be a guest on a future edition of the podcast, get in touch as well. So until next week, I will see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.